Alright, this video is going to be a little bit different than the ones I've been doing, but hopefully it'll become a more regular thing on my channel. This is a Marsh TD2100, and it says it's a manual taper. What it does is it feeds this paper tape, which has an adhesive on the back. It feeds it through this area right here, which I'll show you how it works in a minute, and then out through here. Now that looks a little nasty, I know, I'll talk to you about that in a minute. And what it does is it not only cuts the tape, but it also gets it wet, very much like a stamp, which makes it sticky. That's how this tape is set up. So on the back side of this, there's an adhesive. When it gets wet, it gets nice and sticky. And the way it works is you pull this lever, and if everything's working correctly, which it is because I just fixed it, it dispenses the tape, and then when I put the lever back, what ends up happening is a little guillotine style blade cuts the tape. And so you got this nice cut tape that you can then use. Now, it would be sticky on this side. You can see the adhesive right there, how it's all shiny. It would be sticky on this side if there was water in this compartment. So the way it works is there's normally a water container over here that drains into this bowl type thing, getting this brush wet, and the brush gets the tape wet. Well, the business that was using this, they ran into some issues and it wasn't working correctly. And I found the reason why it wasn't working correctly was two things. Well, there was actually three. First of all, there's a stop over here that makes it so you can say I need 16-inch tape. You pull this and it stops there, and this loosens so you can adjust it to different lengths. It had been loosened too much, and the screw, there's a screw on the inside, on the other side of this knurled nut. I don't know how well you can see it in there, but that screw was, it fell off because this was loosened too much. It was inside of this plastic. There were screws. There's a screw here, a screw here. There's a screw in here, and the way you access it is to pull this out. Once you pull it out, it's accessible. There's that screw. I believe it was that screw. And then there are two screws up top. So there's a screw there and a screw there. And once you pull those screws off, you can take this off a little bit. To get the whole thing off, you would have to open up this cap right here, take the arm off. I didn't have to do that. I could just reach in. This sort of came out, and I was able to reach in and get the screw in and tighten this back up. But the biggest problem was that when they pulled the lever, this wasn't moving. And I'm going to show you why. There were two reasons. Number one, there's this thing that goes up and down. By the way, you can adjust it by moving this weight out. You loosen this screw. If the tape isn't getting wet enough, you move the weight out so it pushes down more and gives more water. Well, what was happening was there was a bunch of nastiness that built up on here. Now, looking at it with the camera, it still looks like it's quite nasty. I cleaned this really, really well. There's still some abrasion to it, and I could, polish it. I could spend some time polishing it and making it perfect, but it works how it is, and if there are issues in the future, I would spend some time polishing this with a wheel. But this is down to the bare metal. What had happened was it had corroded just because of all the built up calcium, and it got really nasty. So I ended up having to clean it with steel wool. If it continues to cause issues, I'll polish this up and it would work great. So number one, that was really, really dirty. So I would say clean that off regularly. The second main issue, which was the biggest issue, was this wheel. So let me show you. The way it works is we lift this up. This metal piece comes off. It's sort of hard to do one-handed. Let's get a tripod. You're probably tired of things moving around anyways. I'm going to pull the tape out. So what I can do is I can lift this up and I can pull the tape out. Okay? So now what we're left with is the main mechanism here. So you've got this, and under it is a wheel. And you'll see there's a wheel here, and there's a wheel down there. And when I pull the lever, that bottom wheel spins. So I'm pulling the lever slightly, the bottom wheel spins. Well, what had happened was, for however long they used it, the adhesive had really, really clean, like gotten all over this wheel. And even though adhesive is sticky, when it's not wet at all, it's not sticky at all, and it smoothed this wheel a lot. So what I ended up doing, so it wasn't able to grab the tape. So what I ended up doing was I put a nice wet cloth here, and I spun that wheel like crazy a bunch of times, making sure that it didn't get pulled in, right? Because there is a blade down there. You don't want your fingers pulled in there. And I cleaned off that wheel. Then I cleaned this wheel. Then I sprayed both wheels with WD-40 to sort of condition that rubber. Maybe not everyone wants to do that, but it worked well for me. And then I wiped all the WD-40 off and did more water to really, really clean off the adhesive. And once I did that, it works wonderfully. So to put it back together, you are going to put this right here. You feed the tape in. You can adjust the width of this tape, by the way. You do that by just spinning this little wheel right here, and it makes the guides wider or skinnier. And then you lift this up. And because I'm doing it one-handed, I'm probably not doing it fully correctly. And then you should be able to just pull this and it should work. I'm guessing I didn't load it 100% correctly. Oh, it worked. And then we let off it and it works. So now we have a working Marsh TD2100. If you like this video, go ahead and hit like. Feel free to subscribe. I think I'm going to do some more videos of things I get to fix. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye.